everyone. I hope that you're all doing well. I'm making this video as an update video for you until I officially come back in July with a book review. In July, I have my annual Emmett Till book review, and that's usually near the end of July. So that's when I'll officially be back. But I've been absent since February or March, and people have been asking in the comments, like, hey, are you okay? I hope you're okay. So I'm just making this to update you and catch you up on all that's happened so far. Mainly, the main reason I've been gone is because I've been really busy, and I've also just been making a lot of changes in my life. So let me start off with one of three of the reasons I was gone. So the first reason was I got a second job. And I may have mentioned this before in February or March, but I ended up getting a second job, and I was going between my main job, which was located in two different parts of town. So I was going from one part of town to another part of town, and my second job, which pays less than my main job. So essentially, I was working 7 days a week, and that was a lot. So I was very tired. I didn't have time to read. By the time I got home, I was just too tired to record anything. So that was one reason that I was missing. Another reason was I was spending a lot of energy trying to get a house, trying to find a house. I mentioned before that I was going through the NACA program, but I'm still in it, but I can understand now why some people just dropped out of it, because it seems like it takes longer with NACA to get a house than just going through a regular realty. So at that time, I decided that I was going to try my hand at a regular realty. And I was approved for a certain loan amount, but the loan amount wasn't that much. I mean, it was a nice amount, but it really wasn't enough to get me the type of house that I could get in a safer neighborhood. I was working with two different real estate agents, and really the search for the house, I thought the search for the house would be really fun, but it only caused more stress. Like, I thought the search was the fun part, and the challenging parts would be getting everything else. But I think the search is also a very frustrating part, because I specifically told them what type of house I was looking for, and they just kept sending me houses that I did not ask for. I'm just like, look, in neighborhoods that I wasn't trying to live in. They were sending me houses in the neighborhood I was living in at the time. And I'm just like, why would I move from one violent area just to go to the same violent area, or an even more violent area? Some of the houses were just not up to par. They weren't attractive. They were just small, and that I wasn't mean about it. I was just like, oh, thanks for sending me this. It's just really not what I was looking for. Do you have anything that has this, this, and that? Yeah. So I can't remember what happened. Oh, so I stopped my search for my house because all of the houses that I did like, there was something going on with them. Either they had a lien on it, or it wasn't approved for this, or it wasn't approved for that. So I just paused. The reason I was going so hard and looking for a house is because I always said with the apartment I was living in, it would be my last apartment. I didn't want to move into another apartment. I just wanted to just get a property. And also, I was still, when I was giving up on the house thing, I started looking for apartment complexes or apartments that I felt I'd be approved for. But or were in my price range, but they just were basically in the same neighborhood. So at around that time, I just kind of gave up. I just focused on working. I was still exhausted from my 2 jobs, and I'm just like, oh well, the least I can do is save money. Now, another underlying reason that I was trying to speed up the process was because I found out that my neighbors that were shooting downstairs, they had moved back in. So, if you don't remember, earlier a few months ago, in January, my downstairs neighbor was shooting. He shot at least 9 to 11 times downstairs, and a SWAT team took him away. At the front of the apartment building was a large wooden board that the SWAT team nailed up there because they had used a flashbang to take down the door. So the front door had a board, but the back that led to the backyard, there was no board there. So maybe a month or two after all of that happened, I kept hearing noises downstairs. I kept hearing a man's voice that sounded like my neighbor. I kept hearing a woman's voice that sounded like his girlfriend, and food. And I thought to myself, there's no way that these people are back downstairs. There's just no way. I said, maybe they snuck in. So I decided to call my landlord, and I told him, I was like, hey, I think there's some squatters living downstairs. I keep hearing noises and all these different things. And my landlord basically lied, and he said that it was my neighbor's relatives that were coming to get their things. They were coming to get their things, and they'd be gone in less than a week. Because the relatives were getting stuff because they had to clean out the apartment. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that's what I thought was going on. But in my mind, I'm like, this man is lying to me. Now, one thing that kind of delayed me thinking that this man was lying, that my landlord was lying, was I was walking towards my apartment, and I saw my neighbors sitting outside of a store, like kind of like begging, and I just walked past them. Just like, yeah, okay, maybe they're not living downstairs. Maybe they're actually homeless now. But something was like, no, they're still living there. So I asked the universe, I was like, hey, universe, can you just send me a sign that I'm not crazy? I ended up getting a letter in the mail because we would pay our landlord Cash App, and he would send us handwritten receipts. So I saw an envelope with receipts in it, which I thought were mine for rent, because I'm never late on my rent. I pay it either on time or I pay a month in advance. When I opened the envelope thinking it was my rent, it was actually payments from my downstairs neighbor. They had paid for February, March, at around that time, April. So then I found out through another neighbor that they were actually still living there. They would just come through the back so nobody would see. So our landlord let them back in. And that was just the end for me. I was like, okay, I'm kind of done. I mean, I was already done with this apartment, but you don't have to lie to me. You don't just tell the truth. And at that time, I had to just make a decision. I was like, okay, I know I said this would be my last apartment, but look at the circumstances that are happening. If they shot once, they can shoot again. Actually, this would be if they shot again, it'd actually be their third time, because there was one other weapons incident downstairs. But at around the time, someone I knew had gotten a 3-bedroom apartment, and they were moving their one friend in. I was like, oh, that's good. So at that time, I was still on my house thing. I was still like, I'm going to get a house. If this person manifested their apartment, I can manifest a house. So I was still on my house thing. And they were still moving into their new apartment. They were moving stuff from their old apartment to the new apartment. And their friend was supposed to live with them, because it's 3 bedrooms. So they would have had a room, or maybe, I don't know. So I had a dream, and in the dream, I asked the person, hey, how is the move going? Is so-and-so moved in yet? And they said, oh no, it didn't work out. They're not living with me. And I'm just like, oh, what happened? This is in my dream. So the next day, I told them about the dream. And they're like, oh no, they're definitely moving in. So 10 minutes after that conversation, the friend that was supposed to be living there, called and said, yeah, I'm not moving in with you. And that's all they said. So just like that, I had a room. So I moved here in May. And I forgot how overwhelming moving is, because I haven't moved in like 4 or 5 years. I was just like, God, this is overwhelming. But what I really find interesting about this new place is it has parts of my manifestation for myself that I wanted, but it just came in a different way. So technically it is not my apartment, because my name is not on the lease, but it does have elements of the apartment that I wanted to manifest. Like, it had more than 1 bedroom. It was in a safe neighborhood. It had all wooden floors. It had stained glass windows. So like the room I'm in has stained glass windows. And it's just like night and day with where I was living before and where I am living now. There was hold on. Hi everyone. This is the second part of my update. The first part of my update was filmed earlier in June, and I feel I abruptly ended it. So I've decided to finish it, even though it's near the end of June, so some time has passed. But there's just more I wanted to share with you. So I have been doing really great. The first update I filmed in my room, and this one I am filming in a completely different room in this apartment. This room is called the Qigong room, or the creation room. And in this room, what I do is I create my art. I will create my writing. I'll read my devotionals and different things that I have behind me, or look through my art project books. I have my art supplies here, so they're all ready. And I'll just listen to music, watch videos, and sing and read. My roommate will play the guitar in here. They'll stretch, do yoga, do qigong. They'll also read as well. They have a book over there on qigong that they're reading. I just don't know where it is. And it's just a room full of good energy. We'll have a lot of good conversations here about spirituality and read to each other. It's a very nice, peaceful environment. I haven't really felt any stress since I've been here. I've been growing a lot of plants. I have more natural light now, because this apartment has more light coming in, unlike my other one where it was just always dark all the time. This is a cutting from my holy basil in the front of the apartment building. My other one is growing really big because it's getting full sunlight. Holy basil is one of my favorite, or I guess this is sweet basil, but it's one of my favorite things to grow because I like taking a leaf and eating. I've also decided to do a revival of some of my art projects. I have some art pieces that I've made a long time ago, and now that I have, I guess, better skills at art, I want to recreate them but do them in a different way. So one project that I'm doing right now is I'm recreating these fortune cookie mandalas that I made in college. So in my freshman year of college, which was 2008, I decided to do a project of making mandalas that could be folded into fortune cookies. This is the template that I used. My professor, he was a design teacher. He showed me, like, he might have made this actually, or he like made the original template and then I redid it myself. And this is what I did. I made Xerox copies of this and just made art around it. So some of the little round ones, this one is a Xerox copy or a color copy of one that I did. I made all of mine in marker. This is an original, which I think is very impressive for marker that's almost 20 years old. It's still vibrant. So I've decided that I'm going to recreate all of them on round canvas. I've already done a mandala recently, but it wasn't based off of these designs. So that's one project I'm doing. I am also working on another project that's going to have more deadlines. So I think that one will take up a lot of my time. My goal is to use up all of my art supplies, all of my binders, my paper, just use all of it up. And I think I can. I just want it gone by the end of the year, or at least by June of next year. I've been, I did finish one major project, which I think I may have told you in the first update. I finished cataloging all of my books. I finished my Quantum Shrine. Now that I've cataloged all my books, when I get a new book, I just add it to there. I have approximately over 1,300 books, which is crazy, but hopefully I can reduce some of them by reading them and then giving them away. I've been giving away a lot of books. I've been dropping them off at laundromats. I've been dropping them off in little free libraries. I've just been dropping them off everywhere like a little book fairy. What else? I've been reading a lot. I have been reading Osho. This is the first time I've been reading about him. I know a lot of people reference him, but I had never read his work. When I first looked him up, I didn't really know what to think because one group was saying, wow, he's amazing, and the other was saying has a cult. So I feel, I don't know. But I'll only know unless I read his words and then read the words of everybody else. But so far, his writing has been very good. I've also been studying the Rosicrucians, and I've been, what else? Who else have been? A lot of the, not Christian Science, the early New Thought pioneers, like the ones from the late early 1900s. I've been reading a lot of their work too. And all of this back-to-back reading has been calming me down. It's been making life flow easier. I don't feel as reactionary. I don't feel as panicky. I just feel very calm. I feel like I can handle life better now. And what else? I can't really think of anything else. But I do know I'm going to be coming to you later in July with my Emmett Till book review for his birthday. I know I missed last year, But this year I will make it up to him because I feel guilty. I haven't really done an Emmett Till book review in like 1 to 2 years. So that's gotta change. I'm also preparing for my September 11th book review. So if you have any suggestions for books I should read for that, just let me know. I've already selected maybe 1 or 2, but if you have anyone that you'd like me to look over, I can do that as well. But I must go now. I'll talk to you all later. See you later on in July.